Alright. Let's do it, my friends. Talents, 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 talents. Hellfire Citadel. Why you are taking them, what you are taking, and all that jazz. Okay? Hellfire Assault. I recommend Surge, Divine Star, Desperate Prayer, obviously. So the big thing on this fight is just like handling the burst damage when it happens. A lot of times if your guild's not that good at handling, what's it called? The transforming, morphing Power Rangers? No, the Fellcasters. A lot of times when you're pretty crappy at managing the Fellcasters, it just starts pulsing AoE on the raid, so being able to have Surge, Divine Star, run it through melee, have the Serendipity to start spamming the hell out of some prayer, then binding prayer, or using the flash heal procs and stuff like that. That's really important. Just having the burst healing on demand, I think Surge D-Star is great for. Iron Reaver, because everybody's so spread out, I would recommend taking Cascade. Let's get some more tomes here. We're actually not going to actually physically spec in. Let's see. I would say Cascade, Mindbender. People get really spread out on this encounter. So Halo a lot of times may not hit everybody the way you want it to, or it'll hit some people who are not taking that much damage for some. And I think overall with the dot damage that you get a lot of times from the immolates, it's good enough. It's better to take Cascade, so you have that actually spread of heals all over the place. So that's what I would definitely take. All these fights, I'm still running Renew, Binding, Circle Heal. Renew and Circle Heal are like mandatory. They're just so good. Binding, if you can afford it, kind of thing. Otherwise, I'd say like Deep Wells. Those are kind of your options in HFC. Let's see. So it's good spread healing. Mindbender gives you just the mana you need. You know, no one's really running Solace in HFC. It's just not worth. Kormrok, I would say Halo and Mindbender. What is it? Alera was bringing up taking Surge without D-Star. I personally think that's really bad. I think hardcasting flashes and getting that mana back from Mindbender is a lot better than these like random procs that you're not really like. Whenever you cast Divine Star, you're anticipating activating the Surge procs, you know. Whereas it's like kinda sometimes with Cascade, Halo. Sort of. Sometimes it's just awkward, you know. It'll eventually start bouncing everywhere, but it's okay. And same thing with Halo. Like Halo will probably start activating your Surge, but again, it's something that's on like a 25-second cooldown, 40-second cooldown, and you're like anticipating getting Surge procs every 40 seconds. Whereas you could just turn in that extra mana from Mindbender to just constantly have that mana regen to actually be able to burst heal. You like Surge, why should you change? Because Surge is not that good on fights where you're not able to use Divine Star as an activator. You'll get like a dozen, like 12 to 20 something procs on most fights without Divine Star, and that's like really crappy compared to the mana that you would get, and you just hardcast those flashes, and you do just the same thing. But if you have Surge and Divine Star, on a lot of those fights, it's just super useful because it's constant procs, and it's a large amount of procs that you're making use out of. So, like for Hellfire Citadel, for instance, because of the fact that there's more or less like burst damage from the Reaps and stuff like that, I would just say Surge, Divine Star, and run with that. Because of the fact that everyone's really stacked, or they should be stacked anyway, there's no reason not for people to stack, so they should stack. And you're able to heal targets with a debuff with your flash procs, or you're able to heal the targets that are running the Reaps out, so they're going to take a big burst of damage or something like that. Cascade's better on a couple fights. So like what we're going over is like it's better on Reaver than Halo because of the fact that people are very spread out and you're not able to get your range as well as you could be to micromanage Halo. As well as just there's more dot damage, so like the bouncing of Cascade is better than the initial like burst that you get out of Halo, I find. With Kormrok, again, Surge Divine Star, it's pretty easy to position yourself closer to melee to make use out of it. Some guilds will have it where you have all the melee in a clump and all the ranged in a clump. So you might be able to throw it through both groups. Usually throwing it through melee is the safest bet, and that's usually how I proc it. Well, after Cascade's spell power nerf, Cascade honestly is pretty mediocre. It's always like worth the cast, but it isn't like doing a lot with it, you know? One really nice thing about taking Cascade is just the fact that it does spread healing. It's spreading Echo, it's spreading to all targets, and it's really, really easy to proc Twist to Fate out of it, because when you cover the raid in Echo, you have this spread of heals that the second somebody drops low, you'll be able to top them off, or you'll be able to proc Twist to Fate, have a stronger heal to top them off, you know? So, going into Gorefiend, I would say Halo and Mindbender. This is an example of a fight, like, it's very, very bursty, so if you're getting into like very, very heavy damage, or you have the Touch of Doom followed by the regular Surging Shadows, yes. So you have Surging Shadows and then Touch of Doom, and then boom, you Halo and you heal it all. Cascade can proc Surge, it's just not a lot. Like, Divine Star will hit people twice whenever you run it through, and you cast it more often. So it's 15-second cooldown compared to a 25. So you're able to cast this more, and it'll run through as many people as you can actually hit it, and it'll heal through them, and then it'll come back. It's not so much that it heals. It's not so much that Surge is a great talent. If you look at it in a nexus or in a vacuum, Surge is not better than Mindbender in and of itself. But when you take, and Divine Star is not better than Cascade and Halo, but just by themselves. But I would say that Surge and Divine Star paired together makes it fantastic. It's like super good. Cascade proc Surge. It's any heals, you know? It's just that Cascade's really crappy at it because of the fact that it just kind of bounces and jumps and flutters, and you think it's something from like a heal you're already casting anyway that procced it, but it could be Cascade, you know? Yeah, it does. So, having Divine Star be the activator for Surge to make it worth casting is always really big. It's the biggest thing. So, Shadowed Iskar, Surge, Divine Star. Again, you can stack up range, you can stack up melee, you know, there's no reason not to. Well, you don't. You have range in their own group and melee in their own group, I mean. So, there's no reason that you can't position yourself properly. Obviously, you'll have to run out for the chakrams and stuff like that, but everyone's stacking up anyway for the focus blasts. A lot of times, you're just running out of the group for the chakram, run back, right back in. You know, melee's more or less stacked up. It's very, very strong for when you have the chakram bouncing all over the place, because it'll be like, it'll hit one target, then it'll hit a second target, and then you prayer heal, and then and you start casting your prayer heal on the most injured group, and then as the third chakram hits, because it bounces between 3 targets, then boom, you know, you just topped off that one group with your prayer healing, and then you circle heal to top anything else off. So Divine Star, when people are stacked, it has the shortest cooldown of the 90 talents, and you can hit the most target. Well, you can hit the most targets for as many times. So you'll throw it through. If everyone's stacked, I would say you can hit every single raid member with Halo. Position yourself properly, right? You can hit every single member with Divine Star and maybe every single member with Cascade, or you'll always have a set amount of bounces with Cascade. Like, it can actually bounce to the same target twice based on their damage. But with Divine Star, you throw it through the group, it hits them once, and then it comes back and hits them again. You know? So it's any healing, even if it's like the minuscule healing from Holy Word Sanctuary, it can proc it. You know? It's an 8% chance to proc off heals, you know? Or Smite. Yeah. Yeah, Reflective Shield's good for Shadow. Yeah. Especially when you're moving around all over the place, it's just something extra that you can be casting. So, Shadow Iskar also has the Phantasmal Wounds, which you got to tap off. On Mythic, this gets a little bit harder. So, especially when you're able to throw the star through and you're able to pump these people up to 90% again, so that the dot drops off. I think it's really good. So, are you talking about for Holy Bacon? We're getting there. We're getting down the line. Sokrathar, I would again say Surge D-Star. There's no reason why you can't have ranges all stacked up. On Mythic, you get this big explosion. What's it called? Apocalyptic Fell Burst. So it's this big orb of fell energy and just slams into the ground, deals a ton of damage. So again, I'd say Surge Divine Star. It's that burst healing that you need so that the second you see that going out, you can precast prayer healing so it slams into it right as it happens. And then circle heal afterwards, and then maybe make sure you have your star ready and just throw the star through, get more procs, you're good to go. You throw D-Star, get 2 Serenity stacks, use them, and on the way back you get another 2. You don't really have time for that. You'll get the charges. You get 2 Surge charges, you'll use them as fast as possible, and as it makes its return, it may give you more. So yeah, like whenever you throw your star, you want to be prepared to use your Surge procs immediately because you can always generate more, you know? Yep. You don't really have the time to generate Serendipity stacks, spend them before you get more stuffs coming back to you, you know? Doesn't really work that way. On a Zakuun, this is an awesome fight for us. Palm is insanely strong. Surge D-Star is insanely strong for this fight. I would 100% recommend it. It's also a lot of burst damage, especially when the seeds come out. When the seeds are coming out and there's more damage ready to happen and the purple swirlies are going all over the place, being able to constantly have like the Surge D-Star for Serendipity, and then I also weave in a lot of Binding Heal in this fight. And it's just constant direct healing once those seeds go out. Just constant. Yeah. Zolrak really is not lots and lots of damage. It's like lots of damage if the mechanics go wrong. More often they do go wrong, because that's just how it goes. So being able to have that instant burst of healing from, again, Surge D-Star, you know? It's so strong. Super strong. The drawback with taking Surge D-Star is that you just need to have more mana. You just need to have more spirit. It does take a lot to be able to pump out all this healing. So, having Phylactery, having more spirit, higher spirit, I'm at like 1900 plus Phylactery. It's super strong. Super strong. Valari, again, Surge D-Star. You're bumping all your Surge procs into Touch of Harm targets. It's mega strong. Like I said earlier with Time Surge, if there's raid damage going out, don't worry about like just spamming a Touch of Harm target. Like use your Surge procs and throw them into that person. But then like raid heal. You know, use your renews on targets taking a little bit of damage. Always have your circle heal on cooldown. Always be using palm. Yada yada. So like heal the raid damage and then just keep on dumping Surge procs into Touch of Harm. You know, every single time. Oh, will they myth? Manaros a really annoying fight. I think when I get into Mythic, I'm going to take Surge D-Star because you skip the whole Phase 1. Because you don't even have to worry about the Fel Iron Summoners. It really depends on how your raid group is established, if they're always going to be stacked up enough for Surge D-Star. It's kind of a long fight. So, it's very awkward of a fight to do. So I would definitely say, if you're staying in Phase 1 long on your normal heroic groups, you could go with Cascade. I would say because people are more spread out. If you're Cascade Mindbender, obviously. But if you get through that very quickly and it's just about healing through Phase 2 and 3 and stuff like that, Surge and Divine Star can be really strong. So there's very low damage in the encounter until you get into like the constant fell storms and stuff like that that are going all over the place, or if you're not able to take care of the infernals constantly. So either one really works. So often when I'm in the fight, it's just so much overheal. So I think when I get into Mythic, I'll probably take Surge D-Star because we stack more often than not. Did you link it, Myth? Hey! You have Jeeth's, that's sick. That's right, dude. Actually, the value of this increases because of Holy's, this is my buddy's Demonic Phylactery Spirit value. Right now, as Holy, I'm averaging about 45 casts a minute, which is awesome, and a lot of it has to do with the increased haste that you're getting, so you're getting a lower global cooldown. So when you're on top of that stuff, this, you know, 1,000 spirit value for Holy Priests gets even higher. It's insane. I'll link you the Abyss after this Asphyxia. So, like I said, Manaroth, it depends on how your group's positioned. Either one can really work. A lot of the fights where I suggest Surge D-Star, I think it's a lot easier when you're overhealing, especially. I think it's way easier to deal with, and it's also something that's very, very comfortable to deal with because you're not having to use like Binding Heal or have an awkward flash heal hard cast, which just it's odd. So Archimon, because you are stacked up a very big portion of the fight, you know, you're running into melee, heal through damage, or there'll be, you know, the times where you have to stack under the Shadowfell burst or something like that, which isn't too terribly bad, but a lot of times you're staying more or less stacked up. And when you're casting Divine Star, it's an insta-cast. Cascade, you have to sit there and cast it, so I think it's a lot easier to deal with, especially and to be more mobile in this fight, you know. So I would still say Surge Divine Star for it. Especially when you're popping chains, you want to have people more or less stacked up, so you're popping chains, throw the star through raid, and you're able to spot heal with your flash heals, and then pump out prayer healing from your Serendipity. Why is it Blackrock Foundry? He's taking averages from Blackrock Foundry because people were asking before it happened about the spirit value. So he made this in PTR. So it's showing the average if somebody got it like in the middle of right when 6.2 came out, you know? So he's comparing average cast per minute and stuff like that, how strong it is. So if you look at all of your fights, look at your cast per minute. Let's pull up one of my logs so I can show you guys my cast per minute. And this is something I keep trying to hammer into people, is your cast per minute are so important. It's how much stuff are you casting. And it makes a big deal. So cast per minute for Jack the Castin, I'm at 48 casts a minute. That is a ton. That is a lot. It's almost, I'm like almost always casting instant cast spells, you know? And obviously the higher APM you have, the more stuff you are casting, the more healing you are doing. So very often whenever I look over somebody's logs, I'm just like, cast more stuff. Always cast more stuff. So if you're seeing, for instance, that like, I think my average is like 45 casts a minute on most of the encounters, and you're seeing for Holy Priests that they're averaging like mid-30s in Blackrock Foundry gear, they can be casting, well, higher haste, more gear, stuff like that, lower in the GCD with haste for Holy Priests. We're just looking at players with higher APM, you know? You're getting more value out of Demonic Phylactery. So it's very, very strong. So, but if you're looking at like, and this is just an average of cast per minutes for healers specifically. So like, it's mana cast per minute. That's the right way to say it. It's mana cast per minute. Because if you're playing like a paladin, for instance, you'll have free stuff. Like Mistweaver and Holy Pally have the lowest mana cast per minute because they're spending their chi, they're spending their holy power, right? It's not that their class requires low APM or something, you know. That's the reason. But with Shaman, they just have a lot more casts of stuff, like they're hard casting their chain heals and stuff. They don't have lots and lots of instant casts like a Holy Priest does, or a Disc Priest does. So as a result, you know, when you're looking at this cast list, you know, he's at the lowest of the cast per minute. Is he doing it wrong? No, that's just how his class works. So, if anything, Demonic Phylactery is understated when you're looking at this list. So it's actually stronger than almost 1,000 Spirit for a Paladin, over 1,000 Spirit for a Holy Priest. It's actually better than that. You know? Actually, I would say it's around 1,000 if you're taking Surge Divine Star, because it'll probably stay around this range. Even though like I'm like mid-40s, I would still say that a big portion of my free Surge procs aren't mana casts, so I benefit a little bit less because of that. But it still accounts for an insane amount of mana. So let me link you my Abyss list. This is what we got. So I will link it. This is also on the How to Priest. Did you? Nice. Hey, you gave me credit? Alright, you the man. Thank you, dude. Aw, baby. That was nice of you. Thank you, dude. The better phylactery will be. That's right. That's 100% right. So, when you... And especially just, like, looking at your own cast per minute and more haste and stuff like that, you're just casting more stuff. That's why I keep telling people, always be casting. Because even if you're just spam casting renews all over the place, you know, you're going to be generating Wards of Mending procs, or you're going to be generating more healing, or the off chance that Renew's going to heal something. And Renew's practically free with Phylactery. Like, it was already really easy to spam cast Renew. And it's actually... I think it actually becomes mana positive. I think it's actually mana positive with Phylactery, depending on what your spirit levels are. Because you regen more than you spend on Renew or something like that. I don't think I can really drop my mana. I'm like looking at my mana at my character frame. I can't actually drop it any lower. That's right. So when you're room, you just spam cast Renews and you're still doing healing, you know? So that's why I keep telling people, if you're running from something, if you're doing mechanics, just spam Renew. Even if you're like spamming it on yourself, you're generating more Words of Mending, and it's not costing you anything. Why not? Or, you know, put a Shadowward Pain on the boss, deal a little bit extra damage or something, you know? You ever have any of those like 1% wipes, 400k wipes, you know? Like we did, and I wasn't casting any damage at the beginning. So, go to Red Chakra, do some damage. That's right. Gotta give Demonic the upvotes. I'm in a raid group. Oh, I'm just chilling, seeing if they need me for raid stuffs. If not, we're just chilling, looking over logs and all. But yeah, those are the fights. That's why I'm taking the talents I am. If y'all had like specific questions or what I would take for other things, definitely hit me up. But Surge D-Star kind of dominates the instance. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of the 13, I'd 100% say Surge D-Star. That's kind of insane. You just believe in the heart of the cards, Demonic. I don't know. Always